there is a issue in your infrastructure or in your application. So to continue with that, yeah, before we get into the event, so there is one more important service which is more related to logs, but it also collects all the events from your system. So we have a service called CloudTrail, right? This is where you will spend a lot of your time in troubleshooting. So CloudTrail is a service primarily for logging and event management. So I would say it's a logging service predominantly. So that's the reason I want to cover it before the event. So CloudTrail, from the name itself, you can see that it's a service to look at what has happened in the recent past. It is going and looking at the trail. So it's already completed one. Okay, so the event has already happened. The log has already log is already done. So it's a logging service to monitor, collect, store, and access the logs. Right, and what is the content that it will capture? So this is the information it will capture. So you will have who did the change, what was the change, when he did the change, and from where, which system he logged in and made the changes. So who did the change, what was the change, when was the change done, and then from where did the change happen. So all these information will be captured, and for each and every single API action, so whatever we are making changes in the portal or through the command line or through the PowerShell or Cloud Shell or whatever, so AWS consider that as a API event, so application programming interface event, and the CloudTrail will create a trail event or log for each and every single API call. Single API call. Application programming interface. So either it is a portal based or a command line based or a Cloud Shell based, you get it there. So it provides you visibility on whatever stuff that are happening in your environment. So either it is a system generated activity or user related activity, it provides complete visibility on what's going on or what's happening in your AWS account or the entire thing. So it can be mostly user related stuffs that are getting generated. So most of the user related activities, it tracks every single changes. So it can be a create, or it can be a modify, or it can be a delete, or it can be some upload or download, whatever, right? So there are a lot of activities changes that can happen. You can modify it, create it, or you can create it something, you can delete something which is already there. It's very useful. For what purpose? The primary use case for this one is to get the compliance ensured. So some organization will ask us whether you are monitoring every single activity happening on your environment. Yes, we are doing it as per the compliance requirement. You can go and store it, and different industry vertical will have different compliance requirements and auditing standard, and based on their auditing standard, you can go and store them for a particular number of days and duration. So retention period will differ based on industry to industry, based on industry, and then compliance, security, legal requirement. You can just go and keep it for a particular number of days. See, by default, this CloudTrail as a service, it collects all the logs and then it will keep it for 90 days. Available for 90 days for free of cost. Whereas if you want to store beyond that in a separate tool and stuff, you can just move it to a infrequent access tier or cold storage, and then you can save some cost there as well. And you can also send it to a third-party tool for analysis. I will come to that part shortly. But now, okay, so use case compliance for auditing requirements, and maybe if you want to find unauthorized actions or activities in your account, or access attempts, if you want to find who is trying to log in, and so on, you can just use this. And you can use it for SIEM, security integration, and event monitoring. So you can integrate with third-party SIEM tools, and you can use some logic, or you can use third-party Splunk, or you can also use AWS also has CloudWatch Viewer, which is a native tool to view all the logs that is coming out, not CloudWatch, it's CloudTrail Viewer. So it's a native tool through which you can go and explore the logs that has got generated. You can also use third-party tools. There are hundreds of tools. Okay, so I think log is nowadays very popular. You can also use alert logic to run some machine learning behind the scenes and then alert based on the finding. You can also use tools like Datadog and so on. So these are all very popular tools that can be used for looking at your events and logs, and they can also have their queries run to find out if there is any issues going on, and it can alert you. And the next thing, mainly you use the logs for troubleshooting your incidents. What you call, you can just say troubleshooting based on the operational issues. Either it can be an incident ticket or it can be for a problem ticket. You can just go and now find out check the logs for any operational issues. Finally, you get complete visibility on all the user related activities in your AWS account. So that is another use case where customer is looking for all the requirement. So in general, don't give access to all the people for your logs. Okay, see, generally people, when they make mistake, they go and clean up the logs, or they try and erase the root cause, right? So generally, as a best practice, what most of the organization does is they generally have a separate AWS account for logging purpose. Sorry, they have a separate logging account, and this will be limited access to the security team, or the team who is intended for auditing and stuff. So generally we'll have a separate AWS logging account where we'll have a centralized log accumulation, and you can also configure the logs for notification, automated notification for certain criterias or scenarios. Okay, fine. So these are the two best practices that you need to keep in mind, and you can also transition or configure lifecycle management from hot to cold or cold to archive tier, so that you save the cost for the old logs. Okay, so most of the organization might ask 5 years or 10 years. You don't have to store everything in your hard tier storage. Instead, you can put it in your cold tier or archive tier, so that you can save a lot of cost as a best practice mechanism. So now let's go and check what are the different logs that you can get in your log trail, or sorry, in your CloudTrail. So it will give you complete information about who. When I say who, it can be the name of the person, or name of the API call, or for example, if you're doing it from AWS console, or if you're doing it from Cloud Shell or AWS CLI, and all those stuffs will be captured there. And then primarily the identity of the caller requested, or I would say they use the term caller here. So identity of the caller is mentioned here. So it can be the name of the person, and what was the change that was done. Okay, so that is there. And then when it happened, the time, the range of the duration when it happened, and then who did that. Okay, so what was the request, and what was the response for that request, from which IP address they did it, or from which system they tried to do it. through which application they tried triggering it. So all these information will be captured in the log. I'll show you how to look at this. Let me also open up the slide to see if there is anything that is missing in my theory. So, okay, this is what we have been discussing, right? CloudTrail and then the features and use cases. So by default, there are two major categories. Okay, so the two major categories are management events and the insight events. So trail is what people is going and finding out what has happened. Mainly, it is a tool that is used for root cause analysis or problem management. Something has happened in your environment, so we have to go and analyze the logs and then find who did it or from where they did it and all those things. So it's a kind of surveillance tool or a CCTV. You can just call, I mean, you can refer CloudTrail as a CCTV tool or an investigation tool that is used for auditing purpose. And you are going and finding out the trail of what was done and who did it. So CloudTrail is a service which is mainly helping you to enable governance compliance for your operational requirement and risk auditing based on the industry vertical. So it will give you all the events happening on your AWS account. It will capture who did it, with what IAM role the activity was done, and everything will be recorded. And any actions that you do through any API, it can be the the cloud portal or command line interface or third party SDKs or the third party tools like Storage Explorer or any tool that you're using, everything will get tracked here. So everything will be captured and stored in CloudTrail, and you can act on that particular specific criterias. If you want to configure alarms for a particular event, you can also configure it, and you can also review it in the tool itself. There is a inbuilt tool through which you can watch it. As I told you, so for the previous 90 days, it is available for free. But in case you want to store the logs for more than that, you can go and get it stored in your own storage account. So CloudTrail is enabled by default. You don't have to enable it explicitly. By default, it is enabled, and by default, you get all the activities stored for the last 90 days. So by default, you can see that the management is events are getting added there. But if in case you want to get the data events, so who is copying the data, which application is talking to which application, so all the data related events can be enabled. And if you want to get more insight, so behind the scenes, CloudTrail has got a machine learning and intelligence capability that can help you to go and find out certain things in a very quick way. So there is an insights event which analyzes your environment and quickly give you a lot of insights. Okay, so CloudTrail is mainly used for viewing the logs, searching the logs. You can download and export the complete set of activities that has happened in a particular AWS account against a particular service or a particular product, and it's a complete package. Okay, so you can do end to end. And I will show you how to do this. So management event is what? So if someone has created a new IAM role, or if someone has attached that role to a particular EC2 instance, if someone has created a new CloudTrail, or if someone has tried creating a additional resource, so all these actions are called as management events. Data events is something, for example, if you are copying some data from one object or one application to another application, or one S3 to another S3, or if you're deleting something, if you're invoking something from the Lambda function. So all these are considered as data events at your data level. At the data layer, whatever is happening will be grouped under data events. All the management actions that you are performing will be considered under management events. So CloudTrail collects event um, for all the actions. Either you use any of the tools from this list, all the actions will be inspected and audited. Everything will be collected. Any API level action will be collected in your CloudTrail. So I will show you first how it looks like, and then we will continue with the practical, I mean the theory here. Go to your dashboard. See, you can see the alarm is now listed. Sometimes it might take a few minutes to show up the alarm. So it is currently in alarm state. Let's not bring this machine down. Let's stop this. Okay, so let me just, so let's bring that to usual, and then bring it to normal. Let's bring it less than 30%. Okay, so let's not, if you're running continuously, then there will be a lot of issues and a lot of data transfer that will be happening. Okay, so this now should change to OK state after after a minute or two. So this will take some time. So you cannot see this thing immediately, but then the email has come even before the alarm has been raised here. So after some time, it will turn to OK, and in the next couple of minutes, I'll show you that in a minute. But before that, you can also see the alarm here. Let me go to the cloud trail. So it is tracking every single user activity and the API actions that you're performing. So it has got a event history. That is what we are discussing about for the last 90 days, whatever the actions that has happened. All these things are available here. So any single for the last 90 days, it is free of cost. So you can see that what has been done in the recent past. So we have updated some of the instance using systems manager. We have let me see, like if the IAM role which we created, see the topic that we created just a while ago, right? The SNS topic that we created, it is clearly here, the SNS topic name, and then where exactly it is integrated, from which IP I did it. So you can just go and cross check that. So it is clearly showing which access key I have used. So it is clearly capturing this IP. This is my IP starting with 123, ending with 5. That is what we saw here, right? So it is clearly telling me like someone has created from this IP, and then which account he has used to create it. They have used the root account. If I have logged in with my user ID, it might have shown my user ID. It has clearly shown what is the account, what is the username, and what action we did, and what are the stuffs that we configured. Everything is completely captured, and it also gives me from which browser, which IP address, when, which time, everything. Okay, so who, at what time, when, and what was the changes he did. He has created a topic, SNS topic, and what was the API call? It is a management category event. If it is a data category event, it will be classified as data category, but by default, only the management related events will be captured. So if you're creating an SNS topic, if you're creating an IAM role, if you're creating an EC2 instance, all these things will be classified here. So you can also go and filter down by date, time, or you can also filter it by resource name. For example, if I want to get all the logs for my specific EC2 instance, I can also go and get that. For example, if I want to filter it for all the Windows related ones, I can just go and resource name, filter all the actions related to this resource. See whatever the role assumptions that I have done, I have attached a role. So that is, see, all the activities are happening through assume role. So the logs are being sent from my EC2 instance, Windows EC2 instance, to my CloudWatch. So how it is doing it? It is assuming the role, whatever IAM role that I have created, and it is sending all the logs. So that is what it is showing. So why there is a lot of event here? Because there is a lot of CPU utilization, and this is sending the data using this IAM role to CloudWatch, that there is a alarm, there is a issue that is going on, and it is continuously sending it for every single minute. And you can see that there has been a lot of alerts, alarms that has been sent. You can also see like what instance profile is attached. Yesterday we attached this specific profile, right? What is that? AWS stan, AWS something. Where exactly it is here, right? So you can see that there is a management event. So I have associated a particular IAM role yesterday to that EC2 instance, and you can also see what is the IAM role that I have attached. So you will get complete detailed information on what was done and who did it, from which machine he did it, what time he did it. Everything will be clearly available in this log event. You can go and filter it by specific EC2 instance, and you can also see when the EC2 instance was started, when it was stopped. So I stopped it for saving some cost yesterday. Okay, so I don't want to continuously run it. I stopped it after our session, and then you can also see who stopped it and from which machine the activity was triggered, and all those things will be available here. Okay, so we can keep tracking all these things by a particular resource or a particular user, or a particular event ID. You have a lot of ways to classify it. You can go and filter it down. If someone has done something using a particular access key, you can also go and search if a particular key is compromised. You can go and look at the CloudTrail. What are the recent activities that has been done using that user ID or access key, so that you can go and roll back those activities that has been performed by a compromised user account or an access key, to roll back and then bring things to normal. So CloudTrail is a very powerful tool to go and look at what has happened in the past, in the near past, and then get that rectified. It is going to be a very, very useful tool for the operations team, and it can help you to collect lot of management related events, and not just limited to that. You can also go and integrate with third party tools, and even you can integrate with tools like Athena, Glue, and stuff, to extract what is happening in your environment and then transform it for easier consumption in a different tool like Athena or any visualization tool. So by default, the trails are being configured for your management event. But if in case you want to configure it for additional activities, you can also go and configure it. Let me go and just delete it. So this is mainly to put it in your S3 log, I mean S3 bucket for beyond 90 days. So I can just go and create a trail. See here, you have options to go and choose what kind of log events that you want to go and store it. So you can also go and store it in your CloudWatch log group. So that is something you can do. Or else, if I want to put it in my S3 bucket, I can also do it. So here I want to collect all the management, and also I want to collect all the data events from my account. So this is my Stan prod account. From there, I want to collect all these things. And if I want to create a new S3 bucket, I can also create it. But if I want to create, store it in an existing S3 bucket, I can also choose the existing S3 bucket. And if I want to put it in my CloudWatch log group, I can also store it in my log group. So every single user interaction API activity can also be accumulated in your CloudWatch log group as a separate subfolder. I don't want to complicate it too much by creating it again. So I can also go and create a key store where I can store the encryption. If I want to have the encryption, I can do it. So, okay, let me have it. So Stan CloudTrail KMS key. Okay, so this is fine. I can just store that encryption key in my KMS. And this is where you need to be clear about. By default, all the management activities are recorded. So that is the only thing that will be available by default. But if you want to have beyond the management event, like if you want to have your data events and the insight event, you have to go and enable it explicitly. You have to select it separately to get all the data related events, and the unusual activities, the anomalies has to be separately selected. So there are three categories of event. Okay, right. So by default, management events will get enabled, and it is what you get it in your default trial. And it's not trial, it is trail. And if in case you want to have the other trails enabled for data events and management, sorry, insight events, you can go and enable that. This is going to add additional cost for your storage. Okay, so by default, management events are captured. If you want to capture the data events, you can also select that. And whatever activities like read, write, if you want to exclude any KMS related event, you can also do it, because there will be a lot of actions happening to your KMS every single time any activities is being performed. So encryption, decryption will be there. For example, if you are taking a S3 bucket, so for every single file upload, there will be encryption, decryption happening, and it will access continuously the key management service will be continuously accessed. So if you want to avoid that, you can just ignore that. And if you want to select a source from a particular service, you can also go and choose from which application or which AWS service or resource you want to get the events for a SNS topic. Or okay, let's say I want to get log all the events, or I want to just get only the log write only events. And I can just say Stan SNS topic data. And then if I want to add any additional data type, you can also keep adding as many data event you want to. For example, if I want to get it from my S3 bucket, if someone is uploading or downloading something, I can also just select only the write event or the read event. You can also go and customize it, which are the ones you want to get, because there is put, modify, get, and all those things. So I can just say Stan S3 bucket logs. or data events. Click next. You can keep adding as many data source you want, and then so no additional charges apply to log management events. So management events is always free for the first copy. But if in case you are adding and storing it in CloudWatch logs and keeping it in Kinesis, and you are additionally adding more log entries, then you have to pay for it. But for the first copy, whichever you are getting from the management event is free of cost. But if you want to duplicate that management event copy into CloudWatch log group, or if you want to send it to third-party tools or Kinesis, then that is going to add up additional cost. Only the first copy is free. Okay, whatever you are getting it by default, that is free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for that. So let me just go and create the trial. So once after the trail is created, it will start logging the content into my S3 bucket. So if I go to this S3 bucket, I will see a folder getting created for my AWS account. For each of the region, you will have a separate folder within that. And for each of your, see, I have a folder now for CloudTrail. So this number is nothing but your AWS account number. So you can see this is the number for each of your AWS account. In your organization, you might have multiple accounts in your organization. So you will get a separate AWS logs folder for your CloudTrail. So you can see that there is a AWS CloudTrail log for this account number. And within that, you have a AWS logs folder. And within that, you have this account number. And within that, you have the CloudTrail. So as we do some activities, it will start populating some of the logs here. So let me try to do something. I'm not sure if I have some other buckets. Yeah, I have something here. So let me try to put something or make some changes. So let me try to delete. Even I can also send something to the SNS topic that is also going to create the data event. Successfully deleted. Close. I'll also delete all these things. Too many logs are getting created. If it is going beyond 5 GB, then I'm in trouble. Okay, let me just delete these things. But this might generate a lot of actions. I mean, a lot of event. So 300 objects are deleted. Okay, fine. Okay, let me upload some content. Just a second. Looks like there are more files. Let me just clean up this. I'm just generating some data events. Okay, from my machine. I'm trying to do some actions here that will generate some event. You can do whatever you want. So I've selected two different services, SNS topic and S3. So let me upload some files here from my local machine. So I can just put something like happy face index.htm. So I can copy these files, upload. Okay, done. So let's see. Let's go to the CloudTrail and then see if there are any events coming up. So if the events have started, it might have created a separate folder for your region. So it is still coming up. So nothing to look at now. So it will take some time. Okay, don't rush. Okay, so let it happen. I will come to my theory continuation. So this is what you can do, right? You are making some API calls to your AWS services, and all these API calls, if you want to track, if you want to understand who is the API caller, who has done, I mean, the identity of the caller, at what time they have done it, and it tracks every single change, deletion, creation, modification, updates. So in an organization, you want to have this for security and compliance requirement. If there is a auditing happening, they will ask for all this data. So CloudTrail is a tool which can help you to get the full history of all the account related actions. There are three categories. The management events is called administration events, and you have the data events, and also you have the insights which will be available. So it will give you these kind of information. What is the user, what he did, whether he created or deleted, at what time he did this. So CloudTrail is continuously recording all the API calls happening. So these are the 5 different things that I was telling. Which one I missed, I don't know. When, who, when, what, which, where. Okay, interesting. So what was the thing that I captured here? Let me put it here. Who, when, what? Oh, which resource? Yeah. So he has touched which resource is something also that is getting captured. So it will also capture who, when, what, and which resource also. Okay, fine. So that is something is getting captured, and this is going to help you to search, download, archive. So you can also go and download it. You know that from your S3 itself, you have option to download. But even within your CloudTrail also, you have options to copy it to a data lake or a CloudTrail lake, whatever the events has got generated. Now it is sending it to S3 bucket, but you can also send it to different destination, and even whatever you got in your event history, that also can be exported to a CSV file, or you can also take it to a visualization dashboard. You have options to download all these events. You can select it, you can go and filter down certain stuffs, and you have the options to go and download it as a JSON file or a CSV file. So if in case you want to export it for any auditing requirements, you can also export and provide actions related to a particular service or a particular resource. You can go and filter it down first, and then you can export and provide it. You can also use Athena table to query the events that is there. It is very much integrated to your ETL tool as well as to your Athena. Athena is a kind of very powerful querying tool which can be used, and even you can use third-party tools like Grafana or Power BI to visualize certain activities and find if there is a big change in trend or a change in pattern. So all the actions, all the activities are being tracked using CloudTrail. So issues can be easily identified, and this is a very, very useful and powerful tool for the operations team to find out the root cause. So who made the API call? So it will give you either it is a root user or a IAM created user or a third party federated user or which IAM role. So all these things will be clearly given. It will also clearly give you the name of the user, access key which you have used, and which AWS account number they have done it, and what is the ARN resource that they have changed it. So we saw that, right? It is very, very detailed, and it gives you complete information like this. This is an example. So it gives you which service has been accessed, which user, and what is the session user, then what is the ARN ID, and if it is a federated user, you will see this type as a federated user. If it is a local AWS account, it will show as the IAM user. If it is a service account, or if it is a service, I mean, for example, EC2 is accessing cloud watch, right? So that is something like application to application, AWS service accessing a particular service on behalf of a user using the IAM role. So that will be given as a invoked by a particular service, EC2 or Elastic Beanstalk or ECS or whatever will be given. So you can see who invoked it. If it is a service, it will be invoked by, if it is a type of IAM user, and it will be clearly given which account, which ID, and all those information will be there. If it is a federated account, it will be having a secure token service, and then it will give the name of the federated user from a third party directory service. So when was the API call made? Very straightforward, right? It gives the time and date in the ISO 8601 format. It will be giving you this clear detail. It will be in Zulu time. So the date, the time, and then the NTP server also will be there. So you have to ensure that all your systems are in the same time to ensure you are getting the right event with the right time. So what was the API call? What did he done? Whether he created a new instance or whether he requested something. So all these stuffs will be there. For example, let me just see. Let me go to the event. See here, event name. I think event name is run instance is what is nothing but creating a new instance. You can also go and start typing it. Automatically, it will give you an example. So we created a couple of instances yesterday, right? So let me just see one of them. So this is something which happened way back. So yesterday, 6th. So these are the instances we created yesterday. So you can see that there is a event source for EC2, and then if you scroll down, you can just see what was the name and what was created, Stan Linux VM01, and we also created Stan Windows 01. So you'll get a complete information about that, whatever the IP address, private IP address, what has been attached, which IAM role was attached, every single thing will be available, which security group, complete category, complete details. So that is what I'm showing here. So what was the API call, whether it was a run instance or a create instance, what was the change that was made, everything will be made available. And where was the API call made from, which IP address. So that is also available, right? In my example, it clearly showed that. If I scroll down, I already showed you, but again, I just want to clarify it again. So private IP address. So this is my source. This is the management. So what is the API call, whether it is a management category. So too much of information to parse through. Private IP address that was assigned. Private IP address of the network interface. Private, okay. Where exactly is that information? So source IP address of from where the run instance was initiated. Yesterday my IP was this. And then it is clearly giving me the account that was used for creation. Okay, fine, that is there. And finally, it will also give you all the errors and authorization failures. What is the who terminated it, unauthorized operation, and all those things. So you can also filter it by errors, and even I think I have terminated one or two instances recently. Even yesterday also I terminated one instance. Let me just go and change this. So you can just keep changing whatever category you want. And you can see that yesterday I terminated one of the instance, I think Linux stand Linux VM02 or 001, something like that. Shutting down. Yes. Yeah, so there is a instance ID that is there, and you can see that this instance was terminated yesterday by the root user, and the username is listed here. Okay, fine. You can get all these stuff, including the errors, termination, creation, and you get complete insight about what is happening. And you can configure it for multi-region. All the regions can be accumulated into one single AWS account. And most of the organization have a separate AWS account for only storing the logs. And there will be limited access to the security team and the auditing team, because to meet the security and regulatory requirements, not everyone should have access to the logging account. Only limited people should have access. And if you are giving access to the support team for the level 2 team or the problem management team, you can just give the viewer access or read only access to the logging account, so that they cannot go and tamper the logs, or they cannot delete the evidence of some of the events and logs, right? So you can just give read access to specific support team, whoever is involved in operational troubleshooting. But for the security and auditing team, you can give the relevant access to meet the regulatory standard. See, regulatory standard for the CloudTrail, people will ask whatever the logs that we are storing, whether it is compliant for a certain standard. Yes, it is compliant for PCI DSS standard, FedRAMP, ISO 27001 is there for CloudTrail. So CloudTrail is very much in line with these regulatory requirement. Most of the organization, they ask either of these four. I've seen customers asking for SOC Control 2, ISO standard, and some specific financial industry and government industry, they ask for PCI and FedRAMP. Even not just limited to this, there is a complete white paper which is showing you what are the different complete security regulatory standard that is being done. So as I told you, 90 days is what by default it is stored in CloudTrail. But if you want to store it in your S3 bucket for your long-term retention, so that's where we created a trail, and it is storing the S3 bucket logs. Okay, let me go and see if something has changed in my trail. Okay, it is logging now. Its status says logging. Let me go and refresh it. I'm expecting a new folder to be created for that region. Perfect. See, these are the three regions that are having some kind of actions. US East 1 is where I am just doing some actions. 2024 is the year. 01 is January, and today's date is 7. And today, these are the activities that has happened. And if I want to go and check something, I can just go and check the latest one. So recently, there is a log file that just got generated. But let me just see if there is a file which is little higher in size. Okay, so let's go with the latest one. This is the recent log file. So what you can do is you can download this file into your local machine, and you can use your tool, or you can also you have something called CloudTrail viewer that can also be used. So this is a very plain JSON file. You can just open it and read it using a normal text itself. It is not that tough actually. See, it has given a lot of information. Okay, so too much of information to digest. So that is where you use the tools like CloudTrail Viewer to go and find out what has happened. So it is the same list of um content that you are seeing in your CloudTrail, but this is something which is getting stored in your S3 and you are accessing it from there. So recently what we did is we just did some S3 related actions, right? So you can see that related to S3, there are some actions and we uploaded some files. If I know the file name, I can also go and check that. So index.html or something that might be in a different log file. So you can also download this and then you can use the CloudTrail viewer. 1 minute, let me CloudTrail viewer download. For Windows, you can also download this tool and then you have a separate tool that is a Java desktop application you can install in your local machine, and you can use this tool for viewing it in the same format that you are seeing it in the console. So in the console, you have a very good view, right? In the event history, same view you can have in your local machine also. So I think there is one more way you can just check that. So now at least you can see that the logs are getting accumulated for every few minutes in your CloudTrail bucket. So you are collecting all the actions. So you can just go and delete the trail if in case you don't want to continue using that. Okay, so this is going to cost you if it is going beyond 5 GB. So let me see. Let me just open this. Let me just open it on the browser itself. Yeah, so this is somewhat okay, but you can just see that it is at least grouping it to some extent. Okay, you can see that what are the actions that has happened. So you can use Notepad++. That might be little better, I would think. I think so. Okay, let's see. Notepad++. Sorry, Notepad++. Even you can use third-party viewers. But don't worry, okay? So the takeaway is that you have this logs available that can be stored in your S3 bucket or CloudWatch logs for further consumption. Okay, so it is giving you a lot of events. It is showing you a lot of details here, and whatever actions we have performed, everything is getting captured and logs are getting accumulated here. Okay, fine. Okay, let me go back here. Good. Let's go and look at this one. So all the management data events, we have started collecting it in a S3 bucket. And from here, yeah, you can use an Athena tool. I will explain what is Athena in maybe in the future session, or I will have a separate recording created on how to use the tool called Athena to go and analyze the logs that are getting collected in your S3 bucket. I will create a separate video on that. So that way you can get to understand the Athena tool on how to go and parse and look at the logs getting accumulated in your S3 bucket or CloudWatch logs. So CloudTrail events, they are classified into three categories. The management event is nothing but whatever API actions you are doing through the AWS console or AWS API like command line or Cloud Shell, everything will be getting captured. So either you are making some administration changes like creation of EC2, deletion, configuring some security or attaching some role, creating some EC2 subnet or whatever, sorry, VPC subnet, or if you're creating some trail, everything will be logged here. Okay, so all actions are getting recorded. Even you can also go and capture all the object level API activity. If someone is deleting some files or moving some files, hopping some files, or doing some high volume batch operations or contents, you can also get those data events. So you can also get the insight. Insight is nothing but you are going and finding out if there is a limit that has been over, or if you are nearing some threshold, or if there is some unusual management event that are happening. So you can also go and find out the unusual pattern. You can go and find out the anomalies. Even you can also send the event to a SNS topic or a event bridge. So this is something which we will see as an insight. This is the third category. So in simple, CloudTrail is a very powerful service which can collect all the events coming from your AWS account. It can be classified into three major categories: management event, data event, and insight event. So all these things are getting accumulated into one particular place. And I will also talk about CloudTrail Lake. That is a new feature which is available to go and query like your Athena. So for now, this is more than sufficient for your associate level. So for your associate level, CloudWatch is a very powerful monitoring service, and CloudTrail is a very powerful logging service through which you can get all the logs originating from your different AWS services. So any questions? So these two services are very, very important for your operations role. If you're a cloud administrator or a cloud operations engineer, this is going to be very, very crucial. And if you're a reliability engineer, this is a must. You need to be thorough about. You need to be an expert in monitoring, observability, and logging for becoming an SRE role, or site reliability engineer, or cloud reliability engineer role. So SNS is one additional topic we saw, just to create some notifications based on alarms. That is fine. Okay, so that is a very small one, but very important one.